Welcome in, everybody. Hello, Jen. Great to see you again tonight. I'm excited. I know you are.
So excited. Been looking forward to tonight for a long time. Glad it's finally here.
We've had some amazing Tuesday night guests. We started out with the man that created Roger Rabbit, with Gary Wolf coming on last week. We had Joel Payne, Disney artist extraordinaire, and God, just into a little bit about everything. And tonight, we tipped the scales with a social media queen. She's absolutely come out of nowhere and just blown the barn doors off everything. I know one of your favorites for sure.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, her personality, her knowledge, her artistic side of her. I mean, it's contagious. I mean, it's once you meet her, it's going to be hard not to like her.
Well, we're going to have a good time tonight as we're going through the interview process and talking with our guests. We want to remind everybody that the links for our guests will be available throughout the night inside the chat, so you'll be able to get to them very, very easily. We also remind everybody that if you can't get to the links in the chat or you're watching on replay, all of those are permanently put in the description and body of this video. I ask that you follow our guests on all their social media fronts, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. It doesn't matter what they have. If they've still got MySpace somewhere, we want you to follow them and give them a little bit of love. And, well, you never know. There might be one with a MySpace. I don't know.
Okay.
And, of course, on YouTube. She's 5,000 strong on YouTube here. So we want to grow that platform so more people can find her there as well. So, and if you're brand new to us tonight, we would love for you to hit that subscribe and follow us as Jen and I do these interviews on Tuesday nights as we go through, along with Disney news and merch, brand new content every Friday night from 9 p.m. to 11 a.m. Jen, I think with all that being said, I think everybody's here. They're excited and ready to go. Chat, we'll try to get to your questions and everything as they come along as much as we can. We do have a full lineup set. So let's introduce our guests.
Yep. Let's get started. Joining us tonight is a social media influencer whose status across multiple platforms is respected by her viewers and Disney itself. Her knowledge of Disney is desired by many and rivaled by few across Disney enthusiasts. She has been blessed to have a magical moment as the Grand Marshal of the Festival of Fantasy Parade. An artist by desire, her works of Disney fan art have been seen across multiple media conventions. Danielle developed a deep expertise in storytelling with roles such as fairy godmother at the Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique and merchandise coordinator in Disney Springs. Delivering a social media presence that influences multiple topics, including fashion, park visits, Disney foodies, seasonal Disney, and collectibles, just to name a few. Tonight's guest is a content creator with a passionate historical focus on Disney, delivering content that is authentic and uplifting.
Yeah.
Danielle is a successful podcaster, delivering consistent Disney discussions, many of which we will highlight tonight. Found across platforms that include YouTube, Instagram, podcasting, TikTok, our guest is a master of positivity, empowerment, and delivering the magic of Disney. Danielle is approaching 400,000 followers on TikTok and 50,000 on Instagram. Additionally, her hashtag, the Dapper Danielle, has been viewed over 45 million times on TikTok. Joining Pete and I for Disney Dialogues, please welcome Danielle Kelly, or as her multitude of followers know her, the Dapper Danielle.
Hello, Danielle.
Hello, everyone. Oh my God, y'all were buttering up with that kind of description. I am flattered. Thank you so much.
Well, it's great to sit and talk with you. I think, Molly was just documenting everything that you've done all the way out, and I think you did that excellent. What an opening for an amazing lady, and we're going to sit and have some fun with you tonight. As I told you beforehand, for those who follow you and know, we're going to hope no Liberty Bell chimes go off tonight. We're just going to have some fun. I probably should have had one ready just to make you feel at home, but it's good nonetheless.
It's so funny. And I don't mean to time those videos the way that I do. I think it just means I hang out in Frontierland too often. And that's why you can hear her so clearly. And I just, right at the 30-minute mark, every hour, I'm over there filming, and she knows it too.
She knows it. She's on you. Well, I love your content. We're going to get into all that and your art and everything. So let's get things started. Tonight we're elated to sit and talk with you about the world of Disney and the influences you have on your followers around the world. However, prior to that, might be a few people that are getting to know you for the first time. So if you'd be so kind to share just a general introduction from you, and then kind of we'll get digging into everything else.
Oh gosh, where to start? Well, hello everyone. I'm Danielle, and on the social medias, I am known as the Dapper Danielle, kind of like the Dapper Dans, but Danielle instead. And what's funny is that when I came up with my name, I wasn't inspired specifically by the Dapper Dans.
Oh,
It was actually more on just being. I'm always known for being dressed up at all times and making sure I am put together even when I'm going to the grocery store. So some would say I'm just dapper all the time. And so it just kind of stuck and I ran with it for the most part.
love it.
And I don't know, I have a big Disney history with my family and it just kind of played out into where we are today.
Love it. Jen?
One thing that we've learned about you is that your family is a huge source of inspiration and support to you. Can you share with our viewers maybe a little background of where your falling in love with the Disney magic began?
Well, a lot of that has to do with the dapper mom and the dapper dad. Yes, that photo right there. That was from a cast member event that we volunteered at, and mom was a cast member at the time, and that was for Goofy's Mystery Tour. So much fun. Love volunteering for that event. But Dapper Mom and Dad, they grew up here as local Florida kids over in West Palm Beach. They ended up getting married and honeymooning over at Walt Disney World in the 80s, and they stayed over at Contemporary Resort. And I guess that's really where their love of Disney was born. And for Dapper Dad and Dapper Mom, Disney became their happy place. So eventually, when us kids came along, well, we came along to Disney also, and it became a yearly thing, sometimes a more than once yearly thing. Sometimes even when we lived in South Florida, we would just come up for the weekend, stay over at Fort Wilderness Campground in the 90s and early 2000s. And it just kind of stuck for the longest time. So I would say my love of Disney started with my family. And eventually we ran into so many amazing cast members and so many amazing stories that when I was little, I would go up to mom and dad and be like, I want to be a cast member someday too. And well, that kind of did happen later on.
Well, that is the perfect transition. You are just right on it right there. Is being a cast member is the next kind of thing I wanted to go to. Your fan base, I've watched, and they are so truly grateful for your years of creating magic, spending over 9 years in so many roles. To have been made,
Yeah.
an indelible impact on you and the people that you know. Can you share a little recap of your Disney cast member experiences?
Okay, hold on. Let me go through the list. So I started my journey actually the week before I graduated high school. That's something a lot of people don't know is that I skipped class, which wasn't good, but I skipped class because it was right before finals, and I went in for my Disney interview, and I got hired as part of recreation. So it was
Okay.
before well, back it up a little bit. It was over at Caribbean Beach, uh, Pop Century and Art of Animation before they all divorced. So they're different regions now. And it was when they still had a boat rentals over at Caribbean Beach and
Okay.
when they had redemption arcades still on property. So those were my jobs. It's funny to think that my jobs back then don't exist anymore. That's pretty funny.
That is pretty cool.
Isn't that crazy? So, but then I like going over to those locations and be like, oh, my home used to be there. So great. And from there, I moved on to children's activities, where I later became like a coordinator and trainer for Port Orleans, Riverside, and French Quarter. Then transferred during that time because I was like, you know what? I really like children's activities, but I want a more one-on-one experience with these kids. And I ended up transferring over to being a fairy godmother at the Bippity Boppity Boutiques
Right.
when they were still inside World of Disney. That was so much fun.
Very
So
cool.
much fun.
Mhm.
So I was considered a Springs fairy. However, I did pick up at the castle quite a lot. And I was part of the team that moved them over from inside World of Disney to the new boutique location, which is still yet to reopen from the Panini.
Mm.
Not that I'm bitter or anything. But then, oh, sorry, I thought I felt a sneeze coming on. And then during my time there, trainer, coordinator, all that other good stuff, I was approached by a leader and said, hey, Danielle, they're going to be interviewing for a new store opening up, and it's going to be like very specialty, a new boutique store. Do you want to interview for this? I was like, sure, might as well. I had already just done a TA also as a Fairy Frost mother when Anna and Elsa took over Hollywood Studios, if you remember that, for Frozen Summer Fun back in the day. So I was part of the temporary boutique training and like bringing that to being. I was part of that team, and ended up getting the job, opening up Ever After Jewelry Company in Disney Springs. So I was part of that opening training team. That was so cool. So cool. Ended up, because of that role, I also got additional training gigs if I taught Traditions of Our Town, which was like the traditions class, but specifically catered to the third parties that work at Disney Springs, since they make up a little over 70% of the operation of all of Disney Springs.
Right.
Yes.
That's amazing.
What a quite a resume of Disney jobs.
Oh, I'm not done yet.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Keep going.
Wow. It's okay, Jen. And then, so during that time, I also got a temporary assignment of training not Traditions of Our Town, but as a POS front of house system support. So when they were testing out the chip readers and having those roll out across property, I was part of that temporary team, and ended up realizing I am a nerd, but not that kind of nerd. So then ended up transferring back over and becoming a merchandise coordinator for Ever After Jewelry. And now we're here. So it has been a fantastic journey. And because of my roles and how flexible they were, I was able to pick up in multiple locations and work at almost every property around Disney World property, which is amazing.
I love that. Jen, before you go, if I could I just thought of something I got to ask her. So you've only had a couple pictures posted where during your time as fairy godmother friend, you got to actually have a couple of those people come back to you and be able to show you a picture or say thank you. And I think those moments from the look on your face from your pictures, I think those moments must have meant a lot to you.
Oh yeah, they were. Being a fairy godmother at the Bippity Boppity Boutique was one of the most emotionally rewarding jobs, but also the hardest emotionally also.
Okay.
And because unlike the princesses, when you meet them, when you go meet Cinderella, you're only interacting with them for maybe a max of 3 to 4 minutes. Where as a fairy godmother, you're pouring into these kids and into these individualized stories for upwards of like 30 to 40 minutes.
Wow.
And not to brag, but I was really good at my job. So I did take it very personally, and I invested my heart and soul into every little kid that I had come and sit in my chair. And I did the numbers a long time ago, and somewhere between just under, actually, no, it'd be way over. Like I had maybe over 50,000 princesses in my time as a fairy godmother. And I think I'm actually off by a couple thousand, but yeah, that's like the average of how many kids I was a fairy godmother for.
That's incredible. That's incredible. Jen?
That's amazing. So this cast member journey is the perfect transition to the next question that we want to ask about your start on TikTok, which began your start in the social media world by your chosen cast member family. So can you share the story behind this with our viewers tonight?
Yes. So this actually starts back during the panini, right? All my little all my cast member friends at the time, I had a lot of college program kids. We were a very close, tight-knit family over at Ever After Jewelry Company. And I was actually coordinating the day when the CPs were told, hey, we're shutting down. You have to move out within 24 hours. And I was the one that had to just grab them and be like, don't listen to anyone else. Go see the leader up in the office now. So that way they didn't hear it from anybody else. They went and heard it from our leadership, which was crazy, crazy time. And well, just before that, the little college program kids were telling me, oh, Danielle, there's this app called TikTok and you should download it so I can send you stuff. And I'm like, okay, that sounds great. And well, then we all get furloughed. We're all sitting at home. We have our regular Zoom Tuesday night hangouts just with the old work family. And one of the girls is like, Danielle, on TikTok, you should like talk about your history because you know like a lot. And I said, "Well, thank you. I'm very flattered." And I ended up making goofy videos first, like goofy voiceover videos, just to send to my coworkers. Because again, we had no idea what was going on.
Right.
So it started out just to amuse them. And then because of uh, my seniority at Disney, and because I was one of the few full-time trainers at Walt Disney World, when we started reopening, World of Disney was the very first thing to reopen. So I was very blessed. I was one of the few that was not on furlough for too long of a time. Uh, but that means I was the first one to come in and teach everybody how to wash their hands and wear a
Right.
mask.
Fun
uh,
stuff.
Oh, interesting and so weird that that was something I had to do. Looking back, I'm like, wow, I had to teach that. And it then became a way for me to detox after my really long shifts. So I'd be wearing the Ever After costume, which is an all black costume. So we called it black. And I would go to my car in the orange garage parking garage, and I would just sit there and I'm like, you know what? I need to make a video just talking about something positive that happened today. I had a really great guest interaction. Let me just film something real quick. And it always happened to be in the middle of the night because I didn't get off work until like 10, 11 o'clock.
Right.
So I ended up posting, and the rest is kind of history to where we're at now.
Yeah, you've really crushed. That's a great question, Jen. And I would follow that up. I would follow Jen's question up by saying to you, okay, so we're talking about where you're at now on TikTok with 250,000 and 50,000 almost over here on Instagram and 5,000 on YouTube. Your success out of the gate created a really unique conundrum. Do you stay at Disney as a career, or do you become an online presence? It's my understanding your public recognition was both a blessing and a curse while you were working with Disney. Would you be kind enough to talk to me for a moment about the crossroads of that time in your life?
Well, it got to the point where now, mind you, when I was filming in my car and slowly it was like, okay, I had a couple thousand people following me. Oh, now we're up to like 50,000 people following me. Oh, now we're up to 100. And my leadership's like, Danielle, what are you doing? And and at this time, I'm a coordinator in merchandise, and so I have people coming up one side of the room. They're coming up and fangirling about me. And mind you, I didn't tell them where I worked. I gave no context clues or anything. Well, kind of context clues, but I never said it out loud.
Right.
And I'm wearing all black. Nobody can tell in the costume. So, but people still found me, and a lot of it was by accident. Even with wearing a mask, people were recognizing me by my voice.
Voice.
And so I would have people come up on one side saying, "Oh my gosh, it's the Dapper Danielle, hello," and like fangirl. And I'd be like, "Hi guys, I'll be right with you." Turn over to this guest, ma'am, this is no longer returnable or exchangeable, and you have no warranty validation with this. So it was kind of breaking the magic a little bit.
Yeah.
And so with that, I was like, okay, you know what? Do I go ahead? Actually, some of it was also health related too. I was getting so stressed out at working with Disney because I was taking everything a little too personally. I was
Hmm.
being very protective of my cast members. I actually ended up losing my hair. I was thinning like
Oh,
horribly, and like where I was losing clumps of hair. And I was like, you know what? I need to take a step back. I need to take a break. Let's try this social media thing. Let's go ahead and try it. And when I left, I got messages from people that follow me over in Disney HR, and they said, Danielle, you do know that because of your seniority, you can come back within the year and your seniority will be restarted. Like you'll gain it all back. You won't mess anything up. And I'm like, okay, thank you for letting me know.
very nice.
So I did that for a year, and we're still doing it, which is awesome.
I love it. Love it. Jen?
And the hair's all back now.
I know.
It's all here.
I'm going to blame mine on Disney too. I'm blaming mine on Disney. So.
Absolutely.
I do have to say that one of the things I admire and respect about all of your content is your focus to deliver it in a positive and uplifting way. Can you open up for a second about your decision to stay this course and its value to you when the viewers are impacted by your content?
Well, a lot of it has to do with when I started this whole journey on TikTok, I knew I was a source of escapism for some people. A lot of people could not get to Disney. People were trapped up inside their homes because of either having immune deficiencies, and they wouldn't be coming to Disney for years. I knew that when I was filming, and I would be reached out to by so many people of like, you have no idea how much your content has like brightened my day. And I still take that very literally of, I know my mission. I know that like people are looking for that light, they're looking for that positivity, and I'm going to provide it. So even when I do talk about Disney in like a negative sense, or maybe I don't like something, or maybe something horribly wrong has happened, I try to still bring that in a positive light, because sometimes when something is wrong, not yelling and screaming and just speaking softly, I guess speak softly and carry a big stick, kind of speaks louder than anything.
Yes, it does.
Right.
That's a great path. I love that. I love that. Well, continuing with your content, but I want to transition a little bit here. Your knowledge of the Disney history and key distinguishable Disney facts is at levels that are hard to imagine for many people that watch you, including myself. Where did this love of history develop, and how did you continue to build this key wealth of knowledge of Disney points?
I mean, some of it is because, I don't know, a lot of people remember remember actors' names, or maybe they remember musicians, or some people can play instruments. I just happen to retain random Disney history knowledge. That's just my one thing I know.
Okay.
And a lot of my knowledge and a lot of my curiosity stemmed from my time of working at Disney and getting to meet some of these cast members that have been with the company for years. And I learned very quickly that they have so many stories to tell, and they're just dying to tell it to someone. So my job would be, or it's a job I made for myself, was I would go up to these, what I call old timers, and I say, okay, Miss Ma'am, sir, tell me your story. And the amount of history and knowledge and things I would get out of these cast members was amazing. Absolutely amazing. One of the, I forget what her name is. It's unfortunate. I'm so bad with names, so I can remember faces and their whole life story. But she's over at the Contemporary Resort. She is one of the opening cast members of Walt Disney World from 1971.
Wow.
And I had the pleasure of training her, because since she was so high up in seniority, she was one of the first ones to come back when World of Disney opened, and she was displaced. And we were teaching them the technology for the virtuals, and I was the one teaching her. And she's like, oh no, I can't remember that. Let me write it down. So she wrote it down step by step, and she has the most beautiful cursive handwriting. It was beautiful. But I got to hear a little bit about her story, and I believe she started over at Fort Wilderness Campground when that opened.
Wow.
And she's been at Disney ever since then, but great source of Disney history. She's been here since the beginning.
Right.
But unless you stop and ask those questions, you would never know.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, that's where my my history and stuff comes from.
Okay. Jen?
Now I know your videos, when you post these videos on your social media, your opening passage of those videos, I know I'm always chiming along every time I start to hear you say it. Random Disney things in the middle of the night that you probably don't care about, but I'll tell you anyway.
Yes.
How did that all start?
It was totally by accident. So actually, this was probably one of the first videos where I started doing it. And I was like, you know what? I need to do something to introduce my content, because it's not normal. Like, I wasn't talking about food stuff or like going really deep into like specific Disney history. I like to cover a lot of things, sometimes very random things, or things that really sparked in that moment kind of stuff. So I kind of did this one night as a jingle, and it just came. And I had a friend text me later on saying, Danielle, you need to keep that. So then I kind of tested it out for the next couple videos, and it stuck. It's been there since the very beginning.
That's awesome. That is definitely synonymous with you. 100%. That and a little line that's down there at the bottom of the screen, but we can talk about that a little bit later. I want to jump over to MEGACON and all the cons. You recently participated in the Florida SuperCon. You've done DiscCon. You've done multiple MEGACons, including your own panel at the 2024 MEGACon, which if you haven't seen that video, our moderators can drop that link in I would highly encourage, as would Jen, for you to take the time to check out that. What is this expansion in your social interaction meant for you and your growth as far as social presence?
So when it came to like, I don't know, like when, mm, let me pray. The doing the cons, it has actually been great for me only because I am trapped at my table for 2 to 4 days, right? And
Hmm.
this is the one chance of being able to tell people, if you want to come see me, if you want to come meet me, this is where I am. This is where I'm living for like the next couple hours. And it's been great to have it be in a set place where people can come up and say, Danielle, I've wanted to meet you. This is so
Yes.
nice to meet you, and just connect on that more personal level. Because if I'm in the parks, I'm running around like a chicken. They're like, if you meet me, that's just by chance.
Mhm.
But this way, it's much more intentional, and I can make that more intentional connection too.
Love it. Love it. Love it. They, you definitely
Cool.
touched before I jump over to here. I had several people comment to me that they had met you down there, and friends that Jen and I had met at a charity event for Give Kids the World, which was the Adventure Lays. Am I saying that correct, Jen? Heather
The
and
Adventure Lease.
Adventure Lease, thank you for correcting me. They actually reached out to me and said, "Oh my God, I can't believe you have Danielle. We just met her at MegaCon. She's amazing. Nothing but positive things." So definitely making impact there. Jen?
Mhm. Well, it's this question now is a perfect follow-up to that because
Mm.
at MegaCon this year, you were able to showcase your personally created fan art, which is exciting. Can you share with us the story of your art inspirations and maybe what projects you're currently working on?
Well, to be completely honest, when I started, so a lot of people don't know that I do art. I did have to take the store down middle of last year just for technical reasons, and the I started my art long before my time at Disney. My originally, I was supposed to go to Savannah College of Art and Design. I was going to
Mm.
major in illustration and minor in character acting, and life happened, and I'm like, oh, we're working at Disney. So, but I never lost that creativity. I still draw. I still made little pictures and stuff to give to my coworkers. Whenever the college program kids were leaving, I made little goodbye pictures and like drawings and
Mm.
illustrations of their character for them. Or sometimes I would just make a giant doodle on the whiteboard where the our review numbers and stuff were,
Right.
just to make it more entertaining. And then I was like, you know what? I need to make my own art for like my night night churros stuff and create my own logo when the time came around. And I was like, okay, what else am I gonna do? I started doing some fan art stuff and kind of posted it, and it stuck also.
And that'll be back
Yeah.
soon because you're working on a website now, and I believe that that'll be available very soon. So, what I would say, guys, if you want to get into Danielle's art, and I love that Jen brought this up because she's very much the art side of what we do here. Make sure that you're following Danielle on all her social medias. They've been dropped in throughout the night. All of those socials. As soon as that website is ready, I guarantee you, you will be make sure you know it over there. And of course, on the body of the description of this video is her link tree. It has just about everything, including how you could buy her a churro later tonight if you wanted to for doing this interview tonight, which is always a good thing. Danielle, I want to drop down and talk about something that I think is really cool. I have really gotten into podcasts over the last couple of years, and you and Megan Hennigan, aka the Magical Millennial, is doing a successful collaboration of coast to coast creators, which we don't see enough of that. I love that you guys are doing that. Share with our viewers and the audience tonight what they will find over there on the podcast and where, of course, they can find it, which is basically on every podcast platform.
Literally it, yes. So on the Disney Countdown show, we count down everything. And I mean everything. So everything from food, movies, characters. We're going to be doing ride cues a little bit later on. So
Oh,
a little bit of everything peppered in there. And it's representing, well, sometimes we'll get a little niche and we'll focus on just Disney World, or maybe we'll focus on just Disneyland. But we also cover a couple news segments, some fan mail, answering some questions, and Megan is giving her knowledge and her expertise of the Disneyland side, and I'm giving that for the Disney World side. And we also bring in a ton of really cool guests into the show too. Some of them are some of our influencer friends, and some of them are some really really cool actors and
Nice.
other big members in the community that we're going to be bringing in, not to spoil anything for later on this season, but some pretty cool things coming.
Very
And
nice.
it's just a lot of fun. We have a really great team that's putting this together. The very first season was hosted by Danny and Eric.
Hmm.
They're the experts of the Christmas countdown show. And they're just Disney dads over there in California. And they're like, you know what? This is really fun, but we really need some experts in to talk about this stuff. So then they reached out to me and Megan to take this over. And now on season 3 of the
Yes.
show, and it's been a lot of fun since then. And we are also on YouTube too. So if you want to check us out, we're on the podcast side, where again you can listen to it everywhere. Easiest way to see it is actually through that link tree for the Disney Countdown show,
Hmm.
and you can click which one's easiest for you to listen on, or if you want to just see our faces as we're talking about everything, YouTube is also a great way to go to.
Absolutely. Love that. Love that. Jen?
I want to switch to a different topic at the moment, because this is something that I'm always so excited to see when it's happening at the parks, and that's Dapper Days. So let's talk about Disney
Yeah.
Dapper Days for a minute. Those days are so special to the parks and the guests. And in your case, I think you are just an all-star at your execution of the perfect Dapper Day attire. Where do you find your inspirations for your style as you go out on those Dapper Days?
Sometimes I actually find like a base dress first, and then I go and create the inspiration from there, as a lot of times. Or maybe it'll be the people I'm hanging out with. For this picture that's actually up right here, this was inspired by, we did a whole weekend of White Christmas inspired outfits. And we only kind of went with that theme because I had twin sauce, Luke and Paul, whose birthday is today.
Right.
Shout out, boys. And Luke and Paul are so great. They are professional dancers from Kansas City. They were coming into town and they're like, Danielle, we're going to be in town for Dapper Days. And I'm like, great, we're going to have matching outfits. And so they were my Bing Crosby and Danny Kaye for the
Very nice.
weekend. And they stuck with me so great. Yes.
I absolutely love that. I've seen you do multiple. I love that Jen brought that up. I've seen you do multiple fronts across there in different fashion, which kind of leads into something where I want to go to, which ties into fashion. You have this little thing. There's a bird, a little orange bird. Danielle, we all have favorite characters in our Disney lives that bring us the magical emotions of the senses. One of my favorites is yours. Can you share with us a little bit about your appreciation for that little orange bird?
My son, as he's lovingly called. And somebody asked me, they're like, Danielle, why do you call him your son? And I realized I'm referencing a meme picture from like 2012 of, it's like this little picture of a dog and a smaller version of it that says, never talk to me or my son ever again, like if you offend me. And that's my opinion with Orange Bird. It's like, if you say anything rude about Orange Bird, don't you ever talk to me or my son again. And I don't know. I think it's because I also have a great affinity for history of Florida,
Hmm.
for how Walt Disney World and the creation of Disney World really affected the culture, and also the financial culture of Florida in general, becoming the
Hmm.
tourist destination of the world. I find that all very, very interesting. And then I learned through that process about this little fruit bird, and I was like, oh, he's really cute. Oh, he doesn't talk or anything. He just talks in speech bubbles. Oh, I want to protect him with my entire life, this perfect little thing. And that's why he became my favorite, is really it.
I love it. You got to be excited about this year with so much orange bird merch for the flower and garden. I think it's the most I've ever seen.
They did a lot of Orange Bird merch, and they did a really good job on it. The nice thing about me is that I do set boundaries on the
Hmm.
type of merchandise that I buy. I don't like anything to have any dates on it. So I ended up not purchasing a lot of the items for this year because it all says Flower and Garden 2024 on it. And
Oh,
I'm
okay.
like, oh, that's fine. It forces me not to keep throwing my credit card down for everything. So I do think there are one or two items I think as the festival goes on, I keep seeing it, I might be like, well, maybe I'll go ahead and just take you home with me. I might do that, but we'll wait as I keep looking at it.
I think that orange juice carton might look good on that top shelf back there. I'm just saying.
You know, that one would look really cute, or I kind of want to get the ornament and take the,
Oh,
like, actual ornament piece off
uh-huh.
and maybe paint over the pot so that way it's just him coming out of the flower pot, and that'd be so
Oh,
cute.
mhm.
That is kind of, yeah,
That
we
is
thought we,
adorable. That ornament is cute.
yeah,
Yeah,
It
that's a
is.
good one.
I give Disney props on this one. They've really hit a home run with all the Orange Bird merch, with the variety across so
Yes.
many, and even the, the attire for, whether the shirts or sweatshirts, it just all looks really good. So great job, Disney,
Yes.
if you're listening to us tonight.
And they
Absolutely.
remembered all of his tummies and eyebrows. That's all I care about.
Well, that is a key thing for you there for sure. Jen, I
Yes.
think you want to talk a little bit about a little bit of attire, but a little bit different.
Yeah, I wanna go back to clothes. Let's talk about
Oh,
clothes some more. Let's talk about
Yes.
fashion. Disney bounding. So, I don't know, for those of you in the chat that might not know, when we speak of Disney bounding, it's the way that you style your clothes to take inspiration from a specific Disney character, or it could be a ride or any sort of Disney influence, but it's not a costume. You kind of just fashion your dresses, shirts, hats, what have you, to resemble or complement that thing that you're trying to capture. So, but I know Disney bounding is an amazing way to share your love for the Disney parks, characters, artists, animators. You shine at this. You are a star at this, Danielle. Share with us your love of bounding, Disney bounding.
Well, what's funny is that I actually don't consider myself a bounder very much at all for the most part. Like this picture that's up right here, this is one of the very few pieces that I would even consider Disney bounding. If I do anything, it's very subtle in reference. So it's more like even the picture
Mhm.
beforehand where we saw Orange Bird, it was very tropical vibes, but not like in your face what I would consider Disney bounding. A lot of Disney bounding incorporates a lot of color palettes, and I immediately think of, well, that's different. That's a Dapper Day outfit.
Oh, come on. Look at
that's
that.
that's almost okay. Maybe that's a little bit of a Disney bound. Um, I would say
Little
more
bit.
my
That's
general
shouting
everyday
it from a
outfit.
rooftop.
that's
That's
awesome.
awesome.
This one was so much fun to do. So this was a Dapper Day look. I did want to go more onto, this was a real big push for me for Disney Bound and not looking so much like a costume. I mean, it kind of is a costume. I have leaf fabric leaves all the top of my head, but this one was so much fun and was totally by accident. How I made this one. This was a dress that I already had for an actual costume for Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. And I was like, okay, I don't want to have to go out and buy something brand new. Do I have stuff already in my closet? And my sister went to Ross and she's like, Danielle, I found this shirt with over exaggerated sleeves that look like leaves. And I was like, okay, we're dyeing the dress tomorrow. And so that dress was originally white and I dyed it orange. I
I
cut
love it.
off
Mm.
the sleeves of the shirt and sewed it to this one to make it look like leaves. And that one I am very proud of. That is a true Disney bound,
Mhm.
yes.
Yes,
But I would not
def
say that this is my normal style.
yeah. Well, even the one before that, when Jen first brought it up, I thought this was fantastic to tie in with the skirt to Spaceship Earth, which is an amazing thing.
Yes.
And we're actually going to have, I know you know John DeCure, Spaceship Ears.
Yes.
We're actually going to have his dad on here, I think in a week, talking about Spaceship Earth. So the perfect tie-in, which is going to be a lot of fun with
Yes.
him. But I love this outfit. I thought it was very well done. And Jen's right.
You.
Your style is just right on target. Before I hit
Well,
my
and that's
next,
where
go ahead. Oh,
my
go
my
ahead, please.
style, I guess, is definitely more dapper inspired, of like dressing, not completely dressing up, just dressing a little more intentional, I guess
Hmm.
is what it is. So everything is a little more fitted. I love wearing a nice flowy dress to the park, very Florida vibes and everything that I wear. And this dress is my number one favorite, or the skirt is number one favorite for Epcot because it does have pockets.
Oh,
So
well, there you
really
go.
some of its functionality
Buckets
too.
are a must.
Functionality is a bonus when it comes to preparation.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely love that. Before I do my next question and we get ready to tidy things up, I do want to do what we usually do, which is throw it out to the chat. If you have a question that you'd like me to consider to ask Danielle real quick, we would love to do it. Put it into the chat now as we get done this next question. I'll try to get a couple of those chat questions in real quick. Danielle, it was awesome to listen to you and Megan appear on Sirius Radio not that long ago on the Disney Hits channel. If you could be so kind, just take a minute and talk to me a little bit about this. And is this something that you think you guys will do again in the future?
We are definitely working on it. We are manifesting that into the rest of the year. So this whole relationship kind of came around by accident. So our producer for the Disney Countdown show, he reached out to some of his contacts over there in Disney Radio, and the guy on the Disney side for SiriusXM's like, "Oh yeah, he actually followed Megan before all of this."
Okay.
And he's like, "Oh, well, the girls are really cool in their regular content. Yeah, let's bring them in and see how it does." So we did one thing with them beforehand, and it went over very, very well. So this past Valentine's Day, our producer and him were talking again, being like, "Hey, the two people that were supposed to come in for our Valentine's Day stuff and record, they fell through. We need help." And Danny's like, "Well, the girls are available again if you want them to work with them." And that's how we built that relationship up again for the Valentine's Day stuff. And we're hoping some more comes out of that relationship here later on this year. So we're manifesting that, but nothing permanent in the works just yet.
So make sure you're following Danielle on all the social media fronts to keep up with that, and keep an eye on Disney Hits on Sirius Radio. Zippity Doo Doug says, "Hey, is Danielle, is she or will she ever go back to work for Disney?"
Well, there is a statistic that once you work for the Disney company for over 5 years, more than likely you will end up working for the Disney company again in some capacity. And there's like over an 85% success rate of that statistic. So it's definitely not in the future. Like I could definitely see myself coming back and working for the mouse in some capacity. I would love to maybe work in a backstage role.
Ooh.
Maybe not as on stage. That was some of my issue was since I was so on stage and so involved with the guests, it was a conflict of interest with my social media presence. So if I could work in backstage in some way and still be able to stay connected to my community, I would really, really love that.
Love that. Love that. Let's see here. We've got Joe Watchbrick says, question for Danielle. What is your favorite Disney memory?
Working at Disney or Disney in general?
I guess just Disney in general, it seems like.
Oh, Disney in general. One of my favorites was, oh gosh, I wasn't 16 yet, but I saw Princess and the Frog on my 16th birthday. And then on my 17th or 18th birthday, one of the two, I got to meet Prince Naveen and Princess Tiana when they were originally over behind the Christmas shop over there in Liberty Square in the little gazebo. They were really pushing those characters, and the two of them were meeting, and I got to meet them again for my next birthday. And Prince Naveen took my hand, spun me around, and the two of them started singing the jazziest version of Happy Birthday I had ever heard to me. Wow. And I was like, that was so cool. And that moment ever since then has really, really stuck with me. And I mean, Tiana was already my favorite princess, but that just really locked it in right there.
I love this. Jen, I'll take Spaceship Ear's question. And after me, if you could take Adventure Lay's comment to Danielle, that would be great. Spaceship Ear says, does Danielle have any fun anecdote stories from working in the Bippity Boppity Boutique that you could share?
Oh, fun ones that I can share. That's the question. Well, one thing I really loved was a moment with my cast members. And when I was a coordinator as a fairy godmother, I always was a closing coordinator. I always was end of the night. I loved closing. I loved closing with the CPs in any role that I was in. But at one point, there was a group that they would come up to me, and their way of telling me that they were all done with their work was they would use the quote from Emperor's New Groove when all the soldiers got turned into animals, and the
Uh-huh.
one says, "I've been turned into a cow. Can I go home?" So they all came up to me and they would come up in unison and they would say, "Fairy Godmother Danielle, we've all turned into a cow. Can we go home?" And then my job was to say the Yzma line of, "You're excused." And that was my line of, "You could go clock out for the night."
Love it.
Uh,
Love it.
so
Love it. Love it.
that was good. We had a ton of little fun moments like that. Yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one.
That's a good one. Jen?
Yeah, I want to highlight a comment here by the Adventurelees. It says, Emmy and I would love to commission you to make us a special orange bird art for our new house, if that's okay. Since we moved here after my husband's passing, we want joyful things in our new home. Love, Heather.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, Heather. I also got to see them at Flower and Garden Festival on the very first day, and it was so great chatting with them for a hot second. But honestly, the best way to do any kind of commission work is probably through my email, which is the dapperdanielle@gmail.com. That's where all my business inquiries all go through there. Because if I answer you on Instagram, you will get lost in the abyss and I will forget about it. So that way my email I can remember.
There you go. There's a great way. This question I probably know the answer to, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway. Delaney, who's a big fan of you, Delaney.n, big fan of you. She's had a lot of nice comments throughout the chat. What's better, Disneyland or Disney World churros?
I mean, we all kind of know this one. It's definitely, if you want to just get it real quick in the park, it's going to be Disneyland churros. But I would say also here in Disney World, I wouldn't necessarily go for churros when it comes to wanting a snack here because it's too hot sometimes for a churro. But in the evening time over in California, since they don't have crazy humidity like we do,
True.
they like you can actually enjoy a churro in the coolness of the desert night, and it's a totally different aesthetic, totally different vibe.
Very nice. Very nice. Okay, Jen, let's take us home. I know, but you have you want to talk about something that I think you've been waiting since the beginning of the show to talk about, and we're going to get a look. She's already giddy. We're going to talk about it right now. Go ahead.
I think there's some people in the chat curious also. Before we end for tonight and we recap, I have one more question that I want to talk to you about, and that is your closing of your videos. It has been so anticipated in your content, and it's been at the bottom of the screen here all night long. How did you come up with this? Night, night, sleep tight, dream of churros tonight. How did that come to fruition?
So this one, this was another one, kind of like the random Disney things where I kind of just tested it. It stuck. But I specifically did churros because everybody's like, what are you talking about, Danielle? Nobody likes Disney World churros. Well, it's true. But in the height of COVID, in the middle of everything going on, when I was starting to really get up there in my following and I was about to leave the Disney company, my number one demographic, when I looked at my analytics, most of my followers were from California.
Oh,
And the reasoning why was because Disneyland was shut down for so long. They were all following me to hear more about obscure Disney World details because
right.
it took for their park to shut down for them to realize, oh, the Disney World park has history too. What are they doing over there? So they started following me for that. And I don't know, it was kind of just one of those things of I did the night night churros kind of in honor of my Disneyland fam that was following me and listening along because their park was shut down for so long. So it was kind of just a weird little escapism, little tidbit reference to
Yes.
them, and it's stuck around since then. And it's been so sweet to hear people will wait and listen for me to say night night, sleep tight, dream of churros tonight. And there's so many parents that text me and their little kids have started saying it to them because since I am very positive and I'm very family friendly in all my videos, all the parents know that I am a safe content place that their kid can watch over their shoulder, and I'm not going to say anything like appalling or do anything crazy. So the kids now have started picking up on, and they'll say it back to their parents, or their parents will say night night, and then the kid will respond, dream of churros tonight.
I love it.
And I think that is so sweet, and I'm obsessed now. So
That's a great homage. I will tell you, so we, started doing research and Jen and I were talking on different times about this. There was a couple times where it was, close to the evening. She's like, all right, I'm done. I'm going to bed. And then I would hear that as I'm going out, as she was going out, night, night, sleep tight. And I'm just like looking at her, just shaking my head. So, it's always a good thing when you can,
Guilty.
yeah, guilty on that. So I love that. Our guest tonight has been absolutely amazing. To sit here and to learn a little bit about her story, to hear the success stories. Again, another one of the mainstay ladies in our community that can be a role model for those younglings below to follow in her footsteps, that anything you want to do in life can be attained, can be accessible to you if you put your mind to it. As we talked about on her social medias, we want to remind everybody here that she is incredibly strong over there on social media. This was pulled just the other day with 392.4K followers and
So
12.9
close to
million
that
likes.
400 mark.
So close to the 400 mark. You do have the Disney Countdown Instagram and also available on YouTube. You follow over there. They got 3,000 followers over there. Of course, Danielle has her own Instagram at the Dapper Danielle with 48.5K. 40. I feel like I'm doing one of my sports broadcasts with all these big numbers. This is amazing
Whoop, whoop.
stuff. Over on YouTube, Danielle can be found over here. She's up over 5.5. And I should let everybody know, because there's a lot of friends here in the chat right now, 50 plus in the chat right now. As you guys know, we do a focus here on all of the live shows, both on Sunday night, but also especially on Friday night when Jen and I and our broadcasting partners do our Disney news and merch. As of tonight, we have added Danielle into the race for 100K. Her channel will be talked about consecutively until we hopefully have her back on here one day saying, hey, remember when you had 5,000? And now she's getting that plaque. So make sure you're following her over here on YouTube to keep up with everything going on. We definitely want that. The other thing, as we always do here, as we do our show, is we always like to do a final thought of the evening. And we always let our guests go first because you blessed us with your time to come in. So Danielle, it's your moment in the sun with your little son, literally orange bird, and your final thought of the night.
Oh gosh. I don't really have very much of a final thought. I'm so blessed for this community and so thankful that y'all are here listening. And thank you so much, Pete and Monorail Molly, for bringing me in on all of this. I really, really do appreciate it. And you know what's funny is that being here on YouTube, y'all, I have a YouTube channel. I just don't post on it very much, and I really need to get into a better habit of it because I've gotten so used to that not horizontal, that vertical formatting and videoing that I'm almost scared to turn my phone off to the side and film horizontally. So I actually got called out by, oh gosh, what is her name? I just met her the other day in the park, and she started on TikTok first and then just moved over here to YouTube. Oh, it's escaping me right now. I can't remember it off the top of my head. But she was encouraging me, and she's like, Danielle, you got to get on YouTube. You got to start making these videos and this long form content because this is what people are looking for. And I was like, oh gosh, okay, maybe I'll start posting over here more often, but start talking about these things. So who knows? Maybe some more longer form content, or even just maybe little clips of random Disney things, maybe a little bit longer and drawn out, coming very soon.
I love it. Jen, your final thought of the night.
I just want to highlight that there have been so many comments in the chat tonight of your sparkling personality and sharing your stories. And I think people really had a chance tonight to see all of the great things about you, positivity, and how smart you are with how to handle all of your different social media and content, and the way you dress and your art. I mean, the list goes on and on. I mean, everything you do is gold. And I am so happy that everybody here had the opportunity to see that, because I've been watching you for a while, and I saw it, and I'm glad that been able to share that with everyone. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you for joining us. And I really hope the chat now, click all the links, click follow on all of them. You will not be disappointed.
I love it. Before my final thought of the night, I finish my final thought of the night. I also want to remind everybody of two things. One, we will be back on the 20th is when we were back. That'll be John DeCure Jr. He is everything about the Spaceship Earth. He is a huge factor in everything over there in Epcot. He's worked with so many key people, Bob Gurr, so many others. Come join us on the 20th.
I got to watch him.
I'll send you a reminder.
So,
I'll make sure I send you a reminder.
John, his son, invited me to come to the Epcot. Oh gosh, it was the Epcot
Retro
convention
Magic
that just happened.
Retro.
Magic,
Mhm.
and I got to listen to his dad talk on stage. And number one, John did not tell me that this was his father until I walked in and I sat down. And then he's like, "Oh yeah, that's my dad on stage." And I turned and I went, "What do you mean? That's your dad?" And his dad, not only is it like he worked on so much with Epcot, but he also was one of the ones that did so much with Muppets and the creation of the backdrops for Muppet Vision 3D and getting to work with Jim Henson and that team. And I was like, dude, that's amazing. So definitely tune in to listen to what he has to say later on.
Going to be
That
incredible.
would be
We're
really,
going to
really
talk
cool.
about John Senior, his father as well, because his father worked on Cleopatra. His father has 3 Oscar nominations. John Senior's father. He also, of course, John Jr. and John Senior worked on Ghostbusters together. And there is if you go out there and you search Ghostbusters, there is an incredible video laid out that where Dan Aykroyd and the director Ivan Reitman are saying that Ghostbusters would not be what it was if not for John DeCure Senior and Junior. So that was pretty impressive stuff to hear that. Also, before my last comment too, I want to remind everybody else that we're gonna drop a link in the chat at the end of the night and send you over to the Big Fat Panda. John is a good friend of the channel. He's interviewing Tom Corliss tonight over in the Disney Underground. If you don't know the Big Fat Panda, put it in your playlist. You should. John is an incredible person, just a down-to-earth guy. And we'll be dropping that link here as we go out. Danielle, I just humbly say thank you for coming on here. One of the things that I try to do is build relationships and make new friends, because you never know when you're going to need somebody to hand you a wet nap down at the parks when you need it. And you might see a friend to say, hey, can you help me out? Plus the fact that when we put this whole concept together to come back, I used to do these interviews with artists and authors a couple years back, and Jen encouraged me to do this. And when I said to her, will you help me with this? I said, who do you want us to find? You were one of the names. She said, please get Dapper Danielle as an interview. So you made my night by saying yes, because it was my way to say thank you to her. I think you're an incredibly talented person. You're so humble and so down to earth. And I hope that you never lose the excitement behind hitting that record button and knowing that you're making somebody smile on the other end. I truly thank you for being here tonight. Hang tight backstage. We'll be right back to you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a great night. Another here. Jen, thank you tonight. You were fantastic with all of your questions and everything. And go over and see the Big Fat Panda, everybody. He's starting at 8 o'clock. We'll see you in a week and a half.
Oh, wait.
Yes.
Wait.
Yes.
Until next time. Night-night. Sleep tight. Dream of churros tonight.
Couldn't say any better than that.